I want to talk about why, this time of the year, your season you might have viewed it as a failure. And I feel bad if you do, because the whole purpose of creating these videos is to help you. Whether you ever buy a product from us, have us come out to your land, design your property, buy seed from us, books, web classes, anything, I want to help. And so if we're not helping you, then it's all a failure. So if you feel like your season's failed and you regularly watch these videos, I feel bad, because we put a lot of content out there to help you out. And I think sometimes you got to pull back to the basics and back to a core. And what I'm talking about when it comes to deer hunting is that core area that you give to deer all the time. And a lot of that has to do with several different things that, to me, you fail on, or people fail on. And they take a parcel and they just destroy it before the season even begins, or even just early in the season. I want to use this as an example right here. We have a core area that literally our access is right here. You see the side by side. We take our bikes back up and down here, quiet cats, or we walk, there's no sound, and then it drops down over there. So, that's all good, fine and dandy, but let's say we have a stand location on this edge over here. We walk to the edge of our core area and we make a bunch of noise getting in. Either it's a low quality stand location, or a tree stand, a ladder, your safety line, your harness, you're making noise. That's one way. You gotta be quiet getting in and out. We use high quality family tradition tree stands, USA made, USA steel. Nothing you can knock about them in any way. They're awesome. That's part of it. But your access, getting in and out, has to be completely hidden. And so, yeah, you can't let them hear you when you get to a stand location, but we can back up and just say, where are you accessing? And then on top of that, hearing is one thing. We have to have this totally screened. So all along here during the hunting season, we have this very, very thick gray dogwood cluster with sumac to the outside. And when it comes to our stand location, which is in the lower portion, we can access right through that bank of switchgrass, and the deer literally never know we're coming in. And because we're accessing on a long, skinny food plot, we're coming into a point where if the deer are on that food plot, or happen to be, for one, we can see them when we're looking over the switchgrass, but two, we're coming into a very skinny, narrow area where it's only 20 yards across. The deer really have to be within 50 yards in order for us to spook them in general. So very easy in and out. We're not coming to a giant food plot. And that's where you come to a giant food plot, you climb up in a tree or a blind alongside, the deer see you and they spook. We can get in and out of this stand really quick. And part of that has to do with we have bigger food that way. So this is just a small little pass through, or it's not a hunting plot. We have a water hole right over there, about 150 yards. This small food plot, a bigger food plot, and then a bigger one. So the deer should move parallel to the edge right here. That's a big part of it too, how they move through here versus how you access. So for one, sight, we're coming into an area where we can sneak into that stand. That stand right over there is only 11 feet high. I shot Bo here, a 6-year-old buck. He's my #1 target buck on the property. Shot him here out of that stand only 11 feet high, because if I go higher, then any deer that are bedded back in the woods can see me in this location. So what's the perfect height? Really matches the conditions. We have box blinds that are 4 feet off the ground, 5 feet off the ground, and then 10 feet off the ground. Because if we put a box blind above the cover and they can watch us get in and out, then that's a really bad thing. Of course, sound, we want quality stands, quality blinds so we can get in and out without spooking deer. And then scent. How many times do we come across here? And let's say, that wood line over there is a little bit different angle. Let's say we were coming into that angle and our wind is going this way. Well, we could blow out that wood line right over there, and that wind might be in my face using this stand right here. But if we come in with the wrong approach, we're blowing out a whole line of movement before we even get to the stand location, and that's a really bad thing. So scent, sound, sight. What does that all translate to? It translates into your core area. And what I mean by that, this is that basic that you need to understand for why you succeed or fail on your property, is that we take this chunk right here, whatever size parcel this is, and we are drawing a line in the sand where deer can't see us, smell us, or hear us. We access, our stands are on that line, and then everything else on the inside is all deer all the time. Now, we have gone in there and created bedding areas. We have screening around this outside, trails on the outside. So that makes this area seem a lot larger than it really is. But bottom line is, you look at your overall acreage on your property. If your property is 40 acres, you should have a minimum of 20 acres that are inside this line, meaning deer inside that line, they can't hear you, see you, or smell you when you're approaching your stand. They can't see you climb into your stand. They can't hear you climb into your stand, let alone your scent blowing at them before you ever get there. Add up those acres on your property, and they have to be contiguous. Obviously, if you have 3 acres over here, 2 acres over here, 5 acres over here, and you're accessing all over in the middle, people will say, well, I have this 10-acre, quote, sanctuary. I hate the word sanctuary because it's so overused, and people think, well, I didn't go in this 10-acre area out of my 40 acres. That's good enough. No, it's not. You need 20 acres. And a lot of times I see sanctuary 10 acres where people walk along, drive along, deer can see them, deer can smell them, deer can hear them. It's not a sanctuary. So I want you to add up the acres on your property that deer can't see you, hear you, or smell you. Doesn't matter if it's an ATV, a tractor, your QuietKat bike, throwing it off in the brush on the side. I want you to add up those acres, and on 40 acres, it should total at least 20 acres. That's your core, true sanctuary area. And that's how we design every parcel. You know, I've designed parcels for a living. Over 1,500 clients in 26 states so far. I think as a group, we've worked in 36 states with Joe, Dylan, Kevin, Wes. We'll go to over 300 clients this year. But bottom line is that 40 acres, 20 acres even, you should at least have 50%. When you get up into a larger parcel, 80 acres, you should be able to have 50 acres, you know, more like 55, 60% of the land. When you get into 200 acres, now you have more that you can throw away for access, blowing your scent, maybe hunting funnels that are more interior into the woods. But you should still, out of 100 acres, you should have at least 60, 70 acres. If you have 200 acres, that translates into 150. You'd have 75%. That's huge. But that meant you still threw away 50 acres. So you have 150 working for you out of 200, you have 50 that are not. It's not a bad thing. What I'm saying is, how many acres do you have on your land where deer you can't see you, hear you, or smell you? And I'm only talking during the deer season. It really doesn't matter. We're out here enjoying this line of movement, driving around, shooting videos, changing batteries and trail cameras where we're looking for antlers dropping, future turkeys in a couple months, and it doesn't really matter. And we had an area this morning where Ocho, one of our 4-year-old 8 points, he's going to be a beautiful stud buck next year. He was going into a bedding area. We went and walked in that exact same spot. I really don't care if I spook him. For one, he's probably going to stay on the land. But two, it's early February. Could really care less about hunting season. Now, when it gets about a month outside of the season, that's when that true core sanctuary really comes into play. We might plant here in early September. We might have to go by here to spread fertilizer, lime, rye, when we're using our layering system. But that's that last hurrah. Season opens the second Saturday in September, and by then, it's all deer all the time in our core sanctuary areas, unless we're retrieving a deer, which we try to do, if at all possible, after dark. We find that when we go in after dark around here, look at it this way, if hunters only hunted after dark and it was illegal to hunt during the daylight, we'd probably have a lot of deer moving around during the daylight and holing up at night. That's just what they do. They pattern us a lot easier than we pattern them. They live out here 365. I want you, during the hunting season, and you know what's crazy, we talk about this and I've been hitting this point home, is a lot of people say, well, I'm pretty good, I stay off my land all year long. And, but then they hunt invasively. They don't establish a core area. The deer can see them, hear them, smell them, maybe all three, 2 out of 3. And that's not a core area during the hunting season. So that is a huge failure. Instead, flip it around. Your core sanctuary area applies to deer hunting season only. Make that be the time where you give the deer the illusion that they're not being hunted. And it all boils down to sight, sound, and scent. If you keep that away from the deer, if you're mindful how you get into your stands, how you approach on your land, how you access, where your trail cameras are. That's why we put a lot of our trail cameras at stand locations, because we're not duplicating access. People say, when do you check your trail cameras during the hunting season? We do it when we hunt the stand nearby. I can almost shoot the back of almost every trail camera with a bow on our property in Wisconsin or Minnesota where we hunt. Always have a mock scrape, stay in location, potential camera spot, even if we have a camera there or not. The point is that everything we do is on the outside of this line in the sand where we try to give a huge percentage of the acres to the deer. That equals the efficiency of your property. That equals your potential. We go to parcels that are 200 acres in size and they don't have 10 acres where deer can't see them, hear them, or smell them during the entire hunting season. And that's a true shame because they're wasting 200 acres. So I always talk about small parcels. You have a 60-acre parcel where 40 acres is all deer all the time. They can't see you, hear you, or smell you unless you're getting a deer, you know, pulling it out. 40 acres out of 60, far valuable than owning a 300-acre parcel where you only have 20 acres out of that 300 where deer can't see you, smell you. In fact, the 60-acre parcel to me is worth twice as much because they have 40 acres dedicated to all deer all the time instead of 20. Doesn't matter the total acreage size. We need to get away from that. There's a lot of people that think, hey, I have a 300, 400 acre parcel. I'm doing pretty good. I'm gonna have a great hunt. Wrong. Because if you don't establish that core sanctuary area as a percentage of your property, make your property very efficient, then you're just spooking deer and wasting acres. Flip it around this year. Really work on looking at your land, figure out those acres out of the hole, always be at least 50%, and as that parcel size gets larger, you're moving towards that 80% range. That's going to determine how good of a property you have. And that accounts for the strategy you hunt with too. Obviously, if you're keeping your sight, sound, and scent away from the deer in that core area, you're doing a great job hunting too. And then you start to reinforce the food plots, the bedding areas, travel corridors, transition areas, grasslands, whatever it might be, uplands on the inside, you're improving to make better for deer. And actually on the outside, we're not improving this. I don't want a bunch of great bedding and shrubs, red osier dogwood, apple trees on this outside, because then we're just moving that line in the sand and the deer are going to be attracted to our access. All boils down to sight, sound, and scent. Work on it. Work on that overall percentage and get back to that core sanctuary area on your property, that true sanctuary. And that heals a lot of problems and can turn your season around just with great planning in one summertime. I appreciate you guys watching the YouTube channel, but I don't know if everyone knows everything that we have to offer, whether it's on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, our website, our WHS Wildlife Blends, our seed company. Also Instagram you can check out. I'm very active on Instagram, putting strategies on there, photos of what we do every day. Much more active there than Facebook. But our seed, web classes, books, clients, articles. I have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, everything whitetail strategy. Of course, we have hats on there, and then make sure to check us out on Instagram again. But lots of stuff to offer. We're always coming out with new things, and this isn't the end of it. We have more things coming soon. Make sure to check us out.